What's going on, guys? We're back with another Dragon Ball Super deck profile. While everybody was fighting for the title of World's Strongest over the past weekend, we were busy killing it at locals. We made some great progress with the deck I am pretty satisfied with, and I'm really glad it worked out as well as it did. I want to give a quick shout out to Jordan Markle. Congratulations on winning Nationals. I hate that you did it with Storm, but I suppose you did what you had to do, so still a win nonetheless. Ever since the reveals for Set 5, I've been excited to play a lot of different decks and get to test out a lot of new cards and strategies, and this one I was particularly excited for, but I didn't expect it to do as well as it did. And as soon as I came up with the concept for the deck, I knew right away he was going to be the best leader for this deck, and is none other than Super Saiyan God Son Goku. One of the very first leaders from the game, and in my opinion, still one of the best leaders in the game, just because with this leader, you are never tapped out. When he attacks, you untap one of your blue energy, which leaves you free to make any plays you need to and still have an energy open for negates. The only thing I don't like about him is since he is one of the very first leaders, he is a draw 2 leader when he awakens into Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Son Goku, the Soul Striker. The leader is just too damn good. When he awakens, when you attack with him, you get to untap 2 of your blue energy, and when you have 5 or more energy, he gains an extra 5,000 during your turn. So you're swinging for 20k once you get to 5 energy, and with this leader, with the way the meta is right now, we always get to at least 5 energy. I've even had games where we get to 6 or 7 energy, and honestly, at that point, once I get to 5, maybe 6, I just stop charging, because the deck does not need that many energy, especially with as much manipulation as we have. So first up in the deck for our 1-drop, we ran 3 East Kai Keeping Watch. She's a 1-cost 4,000. That's basically a better energy-boosted Majin Buu. When you play this card, you draw 1 card, and during your turn, when your opponent plays a battle card, your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and places it at the bottom of their deck. So, like, if they played Future Gohan or Double Shot Super Saiyan Vegeta, anything like that during your turn, then they're going to have to discard a card. It never really happened, but it kind of dissuades them from wanting to do it in the first place. And even if that effect doesn't go off, it's still the exact same as having a Majin Buu. Sure, we could run Chronoa, because Chronoa does also, get you the draw, and then, prevents Shugesh, or we could run Dende, or we could run Kami. But she is blue, so if I needed to charge her, if I didn't want to charge anything else I had in my hand, then she is another candidate. So I don't like having the extra black cards in the main deck. First up, we have our first Goten. It's Son Goten Family of Justice. One of the best cards from Set 1. During your turn, when you combo with this card, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards at energy cost of 3 or less and KO it. We have used this ability a couple times, but the reason that this Goten is in the deck is because he is 10,000 power, and for Gotenks, for Union Fusions, the battle cards have to be the same power, and so all of the Goten and Trunks in our deck are 10,000 power, and this was one of the best Gotens in the game that have 10,000 power. Then we also run Ki Barrage Son Goten.
You can't call dibs on a whole country!
He's the new Goten from Set 5. He's a 1-cost 10,000 power. At the end of your turn, return this card to its owner's hand. This actually came in handy for a couple extra swings, because not only if you have the extra energy, which you a lot of times do in this deck, you can play him and attack with him, whether just to kill something small or maybe get a little extra damage in, and then he goes right back to your hand, so you never lose that extra battle card to be able to Union Fuse into Gotenks. Up next, we have the first Trunks in the deck. It's Ki Barrage Trunks.
Hey, shame on you, I'm just a kid!
He's the new Trunks in Set 5. He's a 2-cost 10,000. It says when you play this card, you may choose 1 card in your life and add it to your hand. If you do, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and return it to its owner's hand. You don't have to return a card, though, so you can just play him and take the 1 card from your life. Maybe you need that extra draw, maybe you need a little extra damage, or maybe you just need it for self-awakening. So it is nice to have him in there if you can't get yourself awakened, although in some cases, if you're playing against a deck that has 0 offensive presence whatsoever, like we played against this weekend, then even having those to self-awaken is not enough to help you awaken. Then next up, we ran Energy Attack Trunks. This is a promo from the tournament packs for Series 1. He's a 2-cost 10,000 power. With the permanent, if you have a Trunks feature in your battle area, you reduce the energy cost in your hand by 1. We obviously have no use for that effect at all, but his other permanent says during your turn, if you have 3 or more energy, this card gains 5,000 power. Occasionally, we will play this card in the battle area, and it's basically a 2-cost 15k, so we will use it to do a little extra damage or to, you know, KO some things that we want to die on that turn. But for the most part, it's just another Trunks that has 10,000 power, and he's blue, so we can charge him if we need to. Then, because this card fits in this deck probably better than it does any other deck, Unyielding Spirit Trunks. I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about him, but in this deck, it is 100% necessary. Not only because he's another 10,000 power Trunks that we can use for Union Fusion, but also because he is blue, and we can search him out with one of the Gotenks as well. So it works really well in the deck because he is a Trunks, so we can Union Fuse with him, we can search him out, and we can use him for further energy manipulation with the leader. Up next is probably my favorite card in the entire deck. It's our first Gotenks, Quick Thinking Gotenks.
Nice to see you again.
He's the new one from set 5. He's a 3-cost 15,000 with critical, and you Union Fusion him for 2 blue energy, and when you play this card with Union, you draw 2 cards. Also, when this card attacks, you draw a card. So, you're going to play him. He's going to go to your battle area. You're going to draw 2 cards to immediately replace the Goten and the Trunks that you pitched for the fusion, and then you're going to draw a card every time he attacks. Not to mention he has critical, so your opponent is either going to lose that card from their life to the drop, or they're going to combo out of it and lose cards from their hand. That Goten is easily the best card in the deck. Up next, we have one of my favorite cards from Series 4, Raging Energy Blast Gotenks. He's a 4-cost 20,000 power with critical, and after he attacks, you can activate his main. Place this card in your drop area, choose up to 1 each of Sun Goten and Trunks Youth from your deck and add them to your hand. Then choose up to 2 of your energy and switch them to active mode. So ideally, your turn 4 plays are going to be to play him, attack with him. You're either going to kill something, you're going to get crit damage in, you're going to get them to drop cards to combo out of it. You're going to pop him off, you're going to get a Goten and Trunks, then you're going to immediately pitch them to fuse into Quick Thinking Gotenks, draw 2 cards, swing with him, and you can just keep the combos going with this deck. And it's crazy because you get so much hand advantage with this deck as well. This deck actually competes hand advantage wise with both Hercule and with Storm. And in a lot of cases, I had more cards in hand than those decks would. So it's really crazy how well this deck actually worked, considering I thought it would just be a fun deck, but it turned out to be a lot better than that. Then, of course, we've got my second favorite card of the deck, although not the most useful, Ghost Rampage Super Saiyan Gotenks.
Line up! Ghost attack!
This is the best looking SPR in the set, hands down in my opinion, and I was so happy that I pulled this one out of one of my boxes. He's a 4-cost 20,000 with Double Strike and Barrier. Now, I hate that you don't Union Fuse with him or the other 4-drop, but them being a 4-cost doesn't really hurt too much, especially with the way this deck plays. He's got Burst 5. When you play this card, choose up to 100 of your opponent's battle cards with 20,000 power or less and return them to their owner's hand. I did use that effect maybe a couple times, but for the most part, you don't want to put stuff back in your opponent's hand because they can play it again, get the effects again, they can maybe combo with it, but sometimes there are things that you want to bounce and force them to either hard cast it again or to just get it off the board, such as blockers and stuff. Up next, we've got our super combo, which is Great Saiyaman Town Hero. This is easily my new favorite super combo. In fact, the sparking super combos are so damn good. A lot of times my opponent does not want to awaken me with this leader because I can untap 2 energy instead of just 1. So I'm stuck. I would be stuck at, you know, more than 4 life and I wouldn't be able to use my super combos. But it's so easy to get cards in the drop area with this deck, especially once you get into your Quick Thinking Gotenks, because you're going to be dropping the Trunks and the Goten, they're going to try to kill the Gotenks, so stuff's getting in your drop area pretty quick. And then you've got the Great Saiyaman that says, oh, you have 5 cards in your drop, you can use me whenever you want to. It's so great. Now granted, sparking super combos are not going to be great for every deck, but for this deck in particular, it was the obvious choice. Then we're running a blue leader, of course, so we play the legendary Flute. You can only run 1 of them. If your leader card is blue, choose up to 1 of your or your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 3 or less and return it to its owner's hand. If that card was your own battle card, draw 1 card. I didn't really use this card. I think for the most part it just got charged because it wasn't really worth using against the opponents I played. And I could have used it on my own cards, but really the only thing I would want to balance would be the Kai, so that I can draw a card and then play it and then draw another card, and it only costs 1 energy to replay it. I could have used it on Quick Thinking Trunks a couple times to prevent it from being KO'd, but more often than not, it just wasn't worth doing, so I never really used it. But of course, it's only a one of, and it is a good card, so it's worth keeping in the main deck. Then, because I thought this card would be a lot more useful than it actually was, we played 2 Rebirth of Justice. It's a 4-cost that says choose up to 1 blue battle card in your hand with energy cost of 5 or less and play it. Then choose one of your opponent's battle cards and return it to their owner's hand. I can see where this card would be good against certain decks. That's why I put it in here. Did I ever use it? No, because it definitely was not useful against the opponents that I played. However, I'm not going to take it out. I did have 4 in here during the initial building, and I found that I didn't have room for everything I wanted, so I dropped it down to 2. I thought 2 was good. I had 2 foils of it, and on top of that, since it's not super necessary, I feel like having more than that would just clog the deck too much. So I thought 2 was a good number, and there are going to be instances where I would love to have that card. There are also instances where I have no use for it. Then, because it's one of the best blue cards in the game, and it fits the theme of this deck perfectly, which is untapping a bunch of shit to play a bunch more shit, we ran 4 Senzu Beans. I know everybody hates Senzu Bean, they hate the Trunks, they probably hate the Trunks more, some people hate Senzu Bean more, but it was 100% necessary, and it helps this deck run so well. In fact, if it wasn't for Senzu Bean, I would have lost hard against one of my opponents. Then, thanks to set 5, we got some of the best negates in the game, and you know we're running it. 4 Dimension Magic. Not only does this card further increase our untap potential, but we can use this card to help Self-Awaken as well. And with all the cards we can play, with all the untapping that we have, we can still tap out, even after untapping with the Leader, the Trunks, the Gotenks, the Senzu Beans, and then still have negates that we can play. Super, super good card, and I'm really glad that we have access to it. Now, the side deck's a little wonky, and I feel like we have too many options in the side deck, and I couldn't really decide what I wanted in it and what I didn't. So we just kind of had a little bit of all of the cards. And the first card in the side deck was Mogoba. Of course, 4 cards like, Victory Strike and a few other things here and there, but definitely 2 Mogoba, because it not only negates the attack, but if it can't negate the attack, it's still going to negate the attack when it covers the attacking battle card. And with as much energy manipulation as we have, there is absolutely no way that we can't use Mogoba in the deck. Then, because I still think it's a good card, and I just haven't had any reason to use it yet, because I haven't had a battle card to use it against, we run Group Leader Pilaf. Now, most of the time I have more than 2 in my side deck, but at this particular moment, because I couldn't find a whole lot of reason to use it, I only have 2 in the side deck. I would like more, but until I figure out what to take out, I'm not really sure. Then for all those decks that like to swarm a bunch of battle cards, 2 Mass Saiyan, the Mysterious Warrior. I still think this is one of the best overwhelm cards that we have. And for 1 energy, I can, wipe a couple cards on your board. And then I still have a 20k double strike. Like, that's just, it's so worth the 1 energy just to play that card. If I have something that I need to really attack over, or if I just want to go in for a butt ton of fucking damage, then we also have 2 Mira, Creator Absorbed. I heard this card went up quite a bit. I guess due to its extensive use in regionals, unless I'm mistaken and it's a different Mira, but I would say it has to be this one. There couldn't really be a better Mira than this one. But he's in there just in case we do have things we need to get around, whether it be like Deadly Defenders or Vegito or, just whatever. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be able to combo out his attack. Then, because Shugesh is always a thing, we have 3 Time Control Chronoa. I figured, especially with the new Sorbet Frieza Shenron Leader, Shugesh might see a little more play here and there, so Chronoa is in the deck to be able to at least hit that games 2 and 3. Now, obviously, this is the easiest card for us to side in, because we would just side out the 3 Iskais and side in the 3 Chronoas, and bam. The only difference is we wouldn't really charge the Chronoa, but I don't think we really need to either. Then for a little yellow and green utility, we've got 2 Haru Majin attackers. I feel like this really fits the theme of this deck, especially because it's another crit attacker, and also because it untaps an extra energy when you play her. So you're going to get an extra energy to play around with, get another crit attacker, and it would work really well against the yellow Shenron leaders and the insane amount of different android variants that are out right now. Lastly, not to mention it again, but with the new Frieza leader and the fact that he is Frieza's army, I tried my damnedest to prepare myself for Cold Bloodlust to make a huge return in the game. And so I thought we would side in 2 minus Killy Zone. Just because it could hurt us for them to Crusher Ball, or for them to even Cold Bloodlust our Gotenks, whether they stripped it of crit or double strike, or they just prevented us from using our ability to draw, or even with the 4-drop to be able to send him to the drop and untap and search. So I thought this was a good card to have in the deck, just in case I started to see people playing those counterplay cards again, and it doesn't really hurt the deck for me to remove 3 cards from my drop area because I'm putting so many in there anyways. It's not really going to interfere with the Great Saiyaman super combo. So we ended up playing against some interesting decks over the weekend. Obviously, Millen Nimba is one of the most annoying decks to play against right now. It's also one of the greatest decks, I think. I hate how Mill works, and the more draw power, the more searching and deck thinning you do, the harder that deck is going to hit you. And you really, really see it, especially with decks like Hercule, for example. We also got to play against our first Wish leader. Which was Oolong, and that was an interesting matchup, especially because they were playing the Pilaf, Mai, and Shu mecha combos, basically the Gate Guardians of the Dragon Ball Super game, and the fact that you can bring back the pieces when the 4-drop is KO'd and then make him all over again, it's a really annoying combo to play around. And then lastly, we played against our first Shenron Leader deck, and it was like playing against Victory Strike Frieza all over again, because it was the Shenron Leader with Universe 11 with the 12-drop Jiren. So aside from him playing the BCC Goten, he just did not attack me, and so it was really hard for me to get awakened. And in game 1, I didn't get awakened until he dropped the 12-drop on me. And he swung, I took 4 damage, he swung again, we used 4 super combos, we used Senzu Beans, you know, all this kind of shit. After he dumped most of his hand, we managed to combo out of it. He attacked us again, and we still managed to combo out of it, and then attack him for game during the next turn. And then game 2, we actually managed to KO him before he drew into the 12-drop Jiren. We ended up playing our SPR Gotenks, and attacking and comboing everything we had in our hand. We went into time game 2, and so I was turn 0, he was turn 1, I was on turn 2. So I was on my last turn, and I'm sitting there trying to decide if I want to dump my entire hand and attempt to go for game, or if I want to keep my hand and attempt to out-combo the triple attacking, quad striking Jiren of bullshit. And so I ended up playing the Ghost Rampage Super Saiyan Gotenks, and it just happened to be the SPR, which made me so happy. And I swung at him. He had no negates. So him having no negates and everything I had in my hand, I dumped my entire hand, super combos and everything, and I think we ended up getting him to 120,000 power, and he just had no way of comboing out of it. More often than not, we do not use this Gotenks unless we use him as a finisher. Having the double strike and then being able to just dump so many cards because you keep such high card advantage is phenomenal. Now with that particular matchup, we kept a little more card advantage because he wasn't really attacking us, so we weren't really losing cards, but we also weren't getting cards from life either, and we weren't able to play as much because we weren't awakened and we weren't drawing off of our leader's attack either. But it ended up being one hell of a matchup, and honestly, this deck just performed phenomenally, and I love it. I love this deck. I actually was using this deck as a test as a test bed for another deck I wanted to build, and this one just performed so phenomenally that I'm going to keep it built, and I'll keep playing it because it is just that much fun. But that does it for this deck profile. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you like the concept of the deck, if you want to try it out for yourself, feel free to build it. It is a lot of fun. And if you find great success in it, make sure you hit that like button down below for us. You know, we appreciate the support. We appreciate all of our subscribers. We're over 1,300 now, which is just crazy. I know Dragon Ball content has been on the down low a little bit because we got our Set 5 stuff late, so we couldn't really do all of our profile videos. And we're also in this time period where we don't have any new information for us to really reveal to you guys. We did reveal some of the new stuff that was announced at Nationals the other day for you guys. But until we start getting new stuff to do videos on, the Dragon Ball content won't be as bountiful. We're going to try and get more deck profiles up, but right now a lot of things are just really tight with our schedule. But starting December 2nd, we will be able to start getting all of these announcement videos going again. And I know that you guys really I know a lot of you guys really appreciate those videos. It definitely shows with the views. Those are probably some of my most viewed videos, even more so than some of the deck profiles, if I'm being honest. And I'm fine with that. I appreciate how much support you guys give me on those videos as well. But we're going to go ahead and get the freak out of here now, and we'll see you guys in the next video.